Hi, I'm Genevieve Telford Warren.
Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what it is that you do for a living, Ms. Telford Warren?
Sure. I am a social media brand ambassador for myself from my own account and for a third-party account as well, which belongs to my dog, who's a pet, who I do also brand negotiation deals for him as well. And I do DJing also for party and event and corporate and personal and public. And I do also certified, I'm a lash tech also, but I haven't really done that in a while, but I'm still certified to do it. And I also just do negotiating brand deals for my own account as well and commercial acting as well as modeling and some acting as well.
That's great.
TBTL.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch. Young Money Militia, and I am the commissioner.
Oh, boy. Who keeps putting Twizzlers in the fridge? Is it Sarah?
Crystal.
Crystal does
She likes
it.
them cold
Okay,
like
well, Crystal, you and I are going to have another Twizzler talk.
I'm sorry, but when I hear an undeserved compliment, it makes my ears want to throw up.
Oh, your ears are always throwing up about something.
Wait, what? So what was the exact question?
Don't worry about it. I'll move on. It's all fine.
You're both little troublemakers. You're both huge in Japan. You probably have a lot to talk about. Go!
Keep things light. Don't bring up your divorce.
All right, hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Tuesday edition of TBTL, the show. It just might be too beautiful to live. My name is Luke Burbank. I am your host.
It's an audiophile's nightmare.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia.
Oh, Ma, Pa, it's just beautiful.
Where we are looking at a beautiful Tuesday, and gotta tell you, I went ham on the yard yesterday. I thought I was just going to do a little bit of mowing, and then I started mowing, and then I started weeding, and then I started doing all kinds of other things, weed whacking, and I basically spent about 8 hours getting things completely in check here at the Madrona Hill studio, and now things are looking very nice. As I gaze upon the yard here, and as I bring you episode 4,490 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
I feel like I'm in a good emotional space to bring you this topic, not just because of the yard, but because on Friday I was in Boston talking about mayonnaise, also known as, what were the things they called it? Bayonnaise. That was another thing they called mayonnaise back in the day. I want to talk to you about condiments and which condiments should be refrigerated and which ones don't have to be refrigerated. We got to get a longer version of that drop. Also known as...
There's a Hidden Valley Ranch party in my mouth.
We're going to talk about condiments on the show today. Also, we're going to talk to this guy, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ship.
Oh, my God. He made it.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Are congratulations in order, Luke?
Maybe.
Well, congratulations. Are you?
Thank you.
Saw you just absolutely horfing a couple of mini pickles right before the show, so I wasn't sure if
not just any mini pickles. Nally Fresh Pack Kosher Spicy Petite Dill Pickles, which I could not find for almost 1 year.
Though I have not seen that brand before, but those look right up my alley. It looks like there's even some little bit of like pickled peppers and other stuff near the bottom, just to add flavor to the whole jar. I'm not sure what's going on.
I had these last summer at my sister Liz's house, and they were so good. And I was like, "Where'd you get these?" She goes, "I don't know, Costco." And then I spent the next 11 months wandering in the wilderness of spicy petite dill pickle land, and then finally maybe a week ago, Becca and I were in Costco and saw these, and I grabbed you'll be unsurprised to hear I bought about 4 jars. One is at Becca's.
Oh, yeah, that's so funny.
Insane that I
You got to that
I need
point.
To make sure that if I'm in the 503, I need to have access to these.
Was it weird when you got to that point in your relationship? It's like, do I leave my jar of pickles at her house or not? Like, where are we in this?
I put it in the medicine cabinet.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't let you finish where all your pickle jars are, but that's okay. Did you see that thing in the...
A full-on garlic clove.
Oh, yeah, don't eat that. Oh, you're going to eat that? No. Did you see the thing in the Seattle Times today about the bunker that's for sale out in Lincoln County? It's a full-on
No.
bunker. It's going for 1.5, maybe 1.25 mil. It's relatively affordable if you think about housing in the city. Now, this is not in the city.
In this economy.
This is This is where they housed one of those. What are they? Intercontinental ballistic missiles back during the Cold War, but it was vacated. I think it was vacated in the 60s at some point, maybe 1965 or 67. And there was some fella who was not like a prepper or anything. He was just fascinated by the idea of buying this and turning it into a living space. And it's like huge, but they've turned like 2,000 square feet of it or something into living space. And it sounds like in one area of the bunker, he's turned it into, they didn't use the term rumpus room, but I'm going to use, it sounds like there's a ping pong table in there. And I know it's weird to buy a bunker just so you can have a ping pong table. I feel like there's an easier way to achieve that goal.
That's like both literally and figuratively. You're going deep on the basement there.
Yeah, right.
You'd buy a bunker just so it has the world's best basement because the entire home is a basement.
But it would be so great. I mean, I don't think it'd be for you. I know that natural light tends to play
a
a
big
part
of my whole
in
brand.
your life. But I got to say, I had some fantasies about buying this. The only thing is, it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I want both. Luke, why can't men have it all? I want a bunker, but I also want to live in the city.
Is it weird that I like that it was actually had a military purpose initially?
Yeah. Are you looking at this now?
No, I'm scrolling the Seattle Times trying to find it. Could you send it to me?
I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, because I saw it on my phone.
It's like sometimes you'll see stuff like this come up, and if a prepper built it, and the prepper has right-wing tendencies, then I dislike the bunker.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was designed by the U.S. military to show force to another country, I'm fine with it. Like, I like it better that it actually had a purpose before we saw it on the Seattle Times website, as opposed to, just some kind of wingnut built it because he thought that, the trans bathrooms were coming for him.
By the way, this does have men's and women's rooms. I don't know if that changes your interest in it or not. I will say they show a huge photo at the top, and what I appreciate right away is that it looks very clean. Now, this is a huge facility, and they've shown one photo, but it's all painted like white. It still has some sort of a military seal on this one wall. Now, this is the other thing I was thinking, that this takes it to a very interesting place, but this is from a real estate perspective.
This is right out of 2001 Space Odyssey.
Right. See, it's all painted white. It's very kind of industrial looking, I guess, but very clean and clinical looking. But also, so I think the fellow who bought this place,
David McIntyre,
he's gone now, I believe, and his kids are selling it, or his kid is selling it, or something. And it sounds like he just wanted to live underground. I was going to say, isn't it the
Did
cat's
you read to the last line of this piece?
Isn't it the cat's pajamas to have this written up in the Seattle Times too?
100%.
Now I'm reading the last line. When a neighboring cattleman, oh no,
it's beautiful.
Let's see here. He died working on a project outside of the bunker, huh? Is that what I'm seeing here? And then a neighboring cattleman found him?
When a neighboring cattleman found him, Sperry said, McIntyre, the owner of this bunker, was under an open hatch door looking up at the sky with a smile on his face.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, we should all be so lucky, right?
I mean, it's probably rigor mortis, but still.
Come on. Give me this.
Anyway, so the thing is, this is the point. The TBTLathon has to be very successul this year in order for us.
We are doing it from a bunker, you guys. By the way, the billboard is in a bunker.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be hard. That's why that would be. Boy, that's the only billboard that's less valuable.
The only way it could be less
bought.
helpful than where it is currently placed is if it was actually underground in Minot, North Dakota.
Oh,
in a,
man.
Some kind of a missile silo thing. Oh, this is really cool, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was thinking, though, that we're not doing the thon from it, but if we raise enough money, we buy this, and this is now the new home of TBT.
Oh, I actually like the furniture in here. I got to give David McIntyre a lot of credit. Did you get to the dining room section?
No, I'm not seeing. Is that embedded in the article, or are you following another link to another site? Because I'm not seeing.
I'm scrolling through the photos.
Oh, I see. It's a slideshow. I don't know how to use the internet.
Taste.
All right. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Oh my God, this is beautiful.
If I was gonna bunker, this is how I would bunker.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Very clean, very open, and again, very well maintained. It looks like
absolutely. This is why David McIntyre died with a smile on his face, and it wasn't rigor mortis, Andrew.
Yes. Although I wondered, Luke, could they? I mean, this is obviously a big realty thing. This is what I was getting at with the getting written up in the newspaper. Like that's such a boon for the people trying to sell this. I wonder how much of this furniture is staged too. Is this really the Bunkerman's furniture, or is this what they want us to think the Bunkerman lived like?
Man, what a good question. I choose to believe. Although, look at the there is a photo on the television of like a what is that, like a maybe a C-136, like some kind of a cargo, like a military cargo plane that's in perfect freeze frame.
Yeah, and also, what's with the,
that feels fake.
Also, but on the other hand,
look at that white
fake.
couch. That's 100% photoshopped.
You think it's photoshopped in there? Just like, I don't know.
Yeah, look at the edge of the white couch, and look at the edge of the white couch as it relates to the wall, and then also that. You know what they've put in here?
Is weird.
They put in. Do you see that lamp in the TV room?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that lamp was sweeping the nation?
Yeah, these are the kinds of lamps that I think a lot of us had, like kind of in our college days and post-college days. If you're our age, it's a stick lamp.
For some of us, very post-college. I had one of those lamps up until about 2 years
Actually,
ago.
I mean, we had one that kicked around for a long time, too. I don't think we have any more, but they're the kind that are like the very skinny stick lamp, just a pole lamp, with just like kind of it looks like a thin plate on top, and it shoots light up to the ceiling and bounces back down.
And has the on-off switch is just kind of right on the stick of the lamp.
Yeah.
How would you even describe that lamp if that lamp had kidnapped somebody in your life and you were trying to describe it to the police? What would you even call that lamp? I feel like that lamp was everywhere.
Yeah.
And now I don't even know how to talk about it.
I'm calling it a stick lamp points at ceiling in the internet and seeing what it says. Not stick, though. That doesn't seem right. Stem lamp? I don't know. You're going for more pickles, it sounds like. Are we okay today? I feel like
we are, except for the fact that I feel like they finding out that they photoshopped David McIntyre's living space. I went from not knowing David McIntyre existed to being extremely invested in David McIntyre's lifestyle to now being hurt that they photoshopped. Like, do we think they photoshopped also the dining room?
Here's what I'm going to say here, Luke.
The dining room looks legit to me, by the way.
Yeah, here's the deal. And I don't think you're going to like this too much. I think we're going to fight.
Okay.
I think the lighting is really jank in this photo, and I think that
in the dining room or
no,
the
I'm
TV
sorry,
room?
in the TV room.
Yeah.
So the kitchen, the dining room looks like kind of well appointed, like very kind of sparse, but like nice furniture and stuff. Then this TV room. If they were photoshopping this stuff in there, why would they Photoshop this? This is a terrible job. It's like the opposite of the other room. There's very little taste here. It's like one IKEA-looking little shelf that actually maybe that's kind of part of the industrialness of it. Maybe that's like maybe that shelving unit is like kind of shelving unit is from the bunker
thing next
somewhere.
to the TV, you mean?
No, the thing that the TV is on. I thought that was just cheap IKEA at first, but now I'm looking at it. It might be. But there's something about those two couches and those pillows they look terrible. They're just like they're not fluffed
randomly
up at all.
Sitting on the floor somewhere.
And some of them are on the floor, some of them are on this white couch. That white couch does have a weird shadow behind it, but I think that they're also using flash photography here, and that flash is
totally
hitting that couch. I don't think it's photoshopped.
Look at the cable
in there.
management on his.
Yeah,
on his,
like
you would never do a Photoshop or make this like pretend in this way and then leave the cables looking so bad.
Exactly, and that's why I don't think this is photoshopped. It looks too bad in this, and unfortunately, I'm not going to use this as a show pic because this is like a actual Seattle Times photo here, which I don't think we have the rights to. But yeah, I don't think that's fake. Unfortunately, I think that whoever like staged the kitchen got really tired by the time it was time to stage the living room.
Okay, but then it raises the question: did they take this photo at the exact moment when a C-136 was flying on the television?
No, that's one thing that I'm wondering. It looks like they have it paused there, probably, but it is hard to take a photo of a TV. Although it's easier with flat screen TVs. It's not like the tube TVs. Remember back in the day, you literally couldn't take a photo of a tube TV because it would appear to have lines going through it. Yeah, I don't think the flat screens do that as much.
And then also, if you look up on the wall above the television and over the doorway, cable management
Just-
gone amok.
Just disgusting. Yeah, I mean, we got to do
Absolutely.
better than this.
Like, who cares that the commies can't find you?
Yeah, right.
If you have to live like this.
Right. How can you hide this entire facility underground, but you can't hide those cables? Like, that's the question.
I was thinking of you deeply yesterday, Andrew. First of all, I almost texted you and asked you to send me a photo of your yard work. Is that weird?
Oh, yeah. I don't have... the thing is... Yeah, sorry, I don't want to steal your story. I've been thinking about that because I had a photo of my yard work that I almost used as a show pic yesterday, but honestly, it's not that impressive looking. It's only impressive if you knew what it was coming from. You know what I mean?
I can picture what
it's not a showpiece, let me put it that way.
Well, I was thinking of you yesterday because I started doing some yard work. Let's see, we did TBTL, I did Livewire, and then I knocked off of CBS stuff at around maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped working in the yard at about 9 p.m. I did a full-on, what is that? What's that? 5 hours? 6 hours?
Yeah.
6 hours of messing with the yard here. And the whole time I thought, I'm being such an Andrew right now. Like, I kept being like, I'm going to be done with this. Like, okay, I've weed whacked, I've mowed, I've pulled some of the weeds in some area of the yard. Now it's time to just go make some dinner and calm the F down. And then I kept seeing things.
You see one more weed. I'm just going to get this weed. This one
honestly,
more weed. Yeah,
I was like, I'll just do one more thing here. And I ended up doing, because the plan was I would do some of it yesterday, do some of it today, and then a little bit of it Wednesday, and then call it good. This was supposed to be a 3-day project. I did all of the project yesterday. When I woke up this morning, I was hunched over like a cartoon. I don't know. Do you remember in Archie? The woman
Miss
who worked,
Beasley?
Miss Beezus, but did she have like a boyfriend?
Let me see. I think it's Beasley though, right? Or is it Beezus?
Beasley. I always call her Beezus. Was there a Mr. Not to go back to yesterday's show, but is there a Mr.
Miss Beasley
Beezus?
boyfriend? Okay, I forgot to type in Archie, so I just typed in Mrs. Beasley boyfriend, and I'm getting some really weird photos. I think
Beasley boyfriend.
Mrs. Beasley was some sort of a doll, and it's a weird-looking doll from the 50s or 60s. And there's
one of them in the photo of David McIntyre's.
Yeah, they have a Mrs. Beasley on the couch there. Okay, anyway, so I didn't know Mrs. Beasley dated. To be honest,
I thought that there was a custodian at the school was that Riverdale?
Sure, he was somebody else though, right?
Okay, well, whatever that custodian's name is, I think of him as having forever back pain.
Oh, okay. Let me look up the custodian.
And that's who I felt like today when I got up, because I just kept going around. And the other thing, first of all, I was thinking of texting you and being like, Andrew, can you send me a picture, please, of what you did in your yard? I don't know why I needed like some sort of solidarity in this. But then I also thought, the thing that kept coming into my mind was, when I'm doing this show with you, I'm sitting in the Madrona Hill studio, and I have a certain kind of like, perspective on the yard, and I kept wanting to make the yard that I can see when doing the show nice, because I was like, if tomorrow I'm looking at this yard and I'm looking at things that are unsatisfying to me, I will feel bad. And I've been out here for 5 hours. I have to make the part of the yard that I look at satisfactory.
I dig that,
and it is.
Good. You're having that moment. I did send you.
I'm having that moment. I also put the yard furniture out, by the way, that that has not been out this whole summer, and I'm not even sitting in it. I just like to look at it.
I did send you a photo of my. By the way, and also just while we're on the Archie thing, Mr. Svensson, I believe, was the custodian. He is straight as an arrow. He has got great posture, so he's not bent over. He's got a great mustache. He
felt Popeye coded to me.
He's not.
Oh my God, Andrew, this looks so good. Hey.
Oh, you're looking at my photo. You're not looking at Mr.
Used?
Svensson. I thought you were looking at Mr. Svensson.
I'm looking at your yard.
It looks okay. I don't even think that's that great of a photo, but I laid all that rock down bag by bag by bag. And I'll tell you what, So the last two, I told you when I got done doing this work the other night, I ended up grilling that evening.
Pleased?
Oh, she's very happy. Yeah, and I cleaned up all these other parts of the yard, laid more stone, like different. I was buying like 3 different kinds of stones for different parts of the yard, and like really cleaning up some walkways and stuff. And then last night I grilled again too because we have this beautiful weather. And honestly, it was a little bit like your coat hooky moments because I always grill in this one little area next to our deck, but it's like where a walkway kind of used to be, but part of it was kind of becoming more and more grass, and that grass was sort of extending out. And I always thought like one of these days I'm not just going to weed this, but I'm really going to tear this up and really extend this like little stone walkway, for lack of a better word, to right where I'm grilling. I should be standing on stones when I'm grilling. And the last 2 nights as I grilled, I was able to, do exactly that. And I was like, this is what I've been wanting to do for 3 years now. And so I am glad to have it done. It's very it's a little hobbity, like I lined it with some bricks that I found under the deck. It's not like Dwell magazine-y, but it feels very satisfying to me to have everything kind of in order outside again.
Oh my God, it looks so great. Like your
Thanks.
hedge is now trimmed. Like the border of the
in
whole
the
thing,
area that I had to do. Yeah, unfortunately, if you get here, you'll see. Oh, and you will be here later this week, so that'll be fun.
I
but
will.
I only trimmed the areas that I had to get to. Like, unfortunately, the hedges are still a whole nother project that'll be several weeks. And then, you were talking about doing yard work yesterday. And like kind of starting with some sort of the basic stuff. I felt embarrassed. I was on the text chain with our friends on Saturday, and Genevieve was making plans to go out, and I said, well, Genevieve has to come home to admire my yard work before she's allowed to go out and play with her friends.
Dude,
and
I sent Becca many photos of the yard work that I did.
Yeah, little by little, you got to. It's like so satisfying, right? You can never get the right photo to really capture what you're trying to show off. But then a friend of ours, Katie, drove by, and she said, I want to see your yard work. So she just drove by the yard, but the thing is, all of the work I was doing was contained inside the hedges. Nobody can see this except people inside the hedges. The yard looks like hell from the street because I still need to like mow and trim the hedges and do all this stuff outside. So the thing is, I'm sort of hiding my light under a bushel. But for me, inside the hedges, for those of us inside the hedges, it is very satisfying.
You're like David McIntyre.
I'm like David S. Pumpkins. Who's David McIntyre?
He's the guy with the silo.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, goldfish.
You forgot. You're like, this is like you open a hatch into your yard, and then you enter it, and then you see that like there is this great. No, this looks good. Also, I am in the market. In fact, today I might have to go. How many bags? This is what the show has devolved into, Andrew. How many bags of those kind of white rocks is that kind of pathway that I'm seeing in the photo? How many bags was that?
This thing here is 18 or 20.
18 bags.
I think 18 bags, and the bags
Aren't those
cheap.
bags pretty expensive?
This was just river stone, so the stones are different prices based on what you're getting. These are not the bigger stones that are like the size of a lemon or a, let's say, lime. Somewhere in the spectrum between a lemon and a lime.
Citrus?
Sure. I mean, what's the difference? Anyway.
What about a kumquat?
I guess lemons are a little bit bigger than limes. Anyway, point is, I did buy a couple of bags of those. Those are like the big kind of gardening stones, and we need those for some of our kind of edging. But this is like river rock, so it's not that much bigger than like, kind of almost like big gravel sort of, but it's rounded, and it's kind of nice if you were to walk on it with bare feet, it wouldn't be as like kind of pointy and jagged as some of the other stuff. And this stuff runs, I think, like $5 or $6 a bag, and this took like I think it was 18 bags because I think I got 12 and then had to get another 6 or something to complete the job here. And then I have 3. I already mentioned this. I have 3 different stones going around in my yard. One of which is a little bit silly, but I think. I don't know if you would be down with this or not, but we have this little area where we have I guess you call it chain link fence between us and our neighbors, right? And I really like it. I love our neighbors. They have a dog. I like saying hello to them. I like leaning over the fence and petting the dog or whatever. But there's something so kind of old-fashioned-y about our 2 little houses next to each other with this chain link fence between it. And there's a little walkway that had stone. I think it was gray stone when we moved in. But there was something about it that reminded me of like my Chutch's house in West Virginia growing up in the 80s or something. Just like very like practical. Every time our neighbors come or go, I hear their little squeak of their gate kind of open and then clank close, which somehow is like the most comforting feeling to me, and I love it. And so I laid down those really bright white stones. Can you picture those stones that are like they're almost like
those are
they're like marble or
that's
something?
Where I started my my journey of Basically, that's what I was thinking I was going to put down in a certain area of my yard, but I like yours that I'm seeing in the photo more, actually.
Yeah, you might like these more. These are river stones, but those other white marble stones are, I think, maybe slightly more expensive, but there's something so retro about them to me. Like, so, like, I just like middle class, like suburban, I don't even know suburban, but like kind of neighborhoody. Again, I'm just sort of picturing this little neighborhood outside of Wheeling, West Virginia, in Wheeling, West Virginia, where my family was. And so it just gives me these sort of warm, fuzzy feelings when I'm in this one part of my yard that has these bright white stones that any chacho would love.
Aw, I love that. I love that you're able to create that whole thing. And again, I love that you said it's like $10 a bag?
No, the river stones about $5. The white like marbly stuff, I think it's called marbly stuff, was like $11 maybe, but I didn't have to buy as much of that. So price it out.
This is giving me hope because I was seeing some stuff. I was like Googling white landscaping rocks.
Yeah.
And I was getting results that included $90 a bag, and I was like, that cannot be how much rocks are.
They might be bigger bags, and also you might just be going. I'm just going to Lowe's,
Well, I'm going to go to my local Home Depot, but I'm going to get exactly what you got, Andrew, and I'm going to fill in this thing that you can't see, obviously, but I'm looking at right now, which is this area near where a bathroom in my house is, and then a hallway. It's got a tree, like a maple tree that's in full bloom, and I've put down landscaping fabric, and I'm going to cover that in the exact rocks that you used for that little pathway. And I'm going to send you a picture and Genevieve a picture, whether you guys like it or not.
No, that's good. And also, I know you and Genevieve and Roden have a whole separate text chain that is without me on it, which
design-based.
is all about. Is it design-based and home project-based?
It's mostly Genevieve does something incredible, Roden does something incredible, and then I just look at it. I have yet to put anything incredible into the text
I find that
chain.
hard to believe. You're doing tons of projects.
I'm doing
all
a ton of stuff here, but I don't know. It feels, first of all, I'm not doing it. It's my dad. And
some of it. I mean, you're doing a lot of it. I mean, I was thinking about you as I was hauling these stones back and forth, didn't you? I was like, I should probably get a wheelbarrow for this. Weren't you like wheelbarrowing stones?
I did wheelbarrow about 3,000 pounds of pea gravel down to the. So I did do that, and I did not send that to Genevieve and Roden. I should have, but yeah.
Anyway,
my dad apparently made friends with one of the neighbors here.
Love this.
When I was gone.
Yeah.
I feel like what's happening slowly but surely is my parents are moving into this.
Yeah.
My mom did wonder if I had ended my own life and given them the house recently.
Yeah. Because you woke up a half hour late.
45 minutes, but still. Come on, Suze.
Is your mom now like, are you waking up and she's like putting a mirror over your mouth?
She's standing over me when I wake up. Is that normal?
And then has this just slight look of disappointment when you wake up.
I was seeing it as happiness that I was alive, but you're right. If I think about it, it did have a certain disappointed nature to it. My dad apparently made friends with one of the neighbors. I do have this weird thing where I feel like I need to let the neighbors know that I'm paying my dad to work here. And it's not because I want to take my dad down a peg. It's because I don't want them to think that I'm just some weird big city boy from out of town who has now forced his dad into just rebuilding his house for him.
Right.
Because I wonder what they think. Like there's a guy with a truck called Signworks who comes here and just spends endless hours working on this house, and he's not the slightly younger guy who lives here occasionally. Like, what is the deal? I spend a lot of time worrying about what the neighbors think about what's going on here.
And I can tell even on the show a while back, like it was very important that people know that you're not just, your dad isn't doing this for free.
There might be dads that do. In fact, you know what? My dad is the kind of dad that would do that, potentially. He does that for my other siblings, by the way. Like, if my other siblings have a project, he will go just help them for free. But that's because it's a weekend.
Yeah, this is a years-long project so far.
Literally years. You know, this thing, the other part of my whole thing yesterday was for almost 2 years, there's been a little area around the corner of the house that I'm looking at right now that has had decking, like lumber that is for putting on the top of the deck. It's actually a Brazilian hardwood. It's called tigerwood. For at least 2 years, if not more, there was tigerwood sitting in this area so that you could not really properly walk around one side of the house because there was all this wood and then these tarps over it. And it is finally now on the deck. We have now used all of the tiger wood, and I have to buy $3,000 more tiger wood, by the way.
I just don't think Tiger Wood is ever going to achieve the success that he once did. Ever since the accident, Tiger Wood. I can't believe there's actually
Wasn't he leaving a Red Lobster? Was he leaving he was leaving. One of the things about that story that always struck me was, I think, or maybe he was dating someone who he met when they were a front, like a manager, like they were the hostess at either a Red Lobster or a, what's the Italian Red Lobster?
Oh, when you're here, your family?
Yes. Hospitaliano.
Olive Garden?
I believe he was dating, it was in Jupiter, Florida. He was dating a hostess from either an Olive Garden or a Red Lobster. So maybe he wasn't leaving the restaurant. But anyway, for many years now, there has been and this is like, we talk about this sometimes, like how when you just have something that's just in your life, like in your home environment for so many years, you kind of stop seeing it. Mm-hmm. It just becomes part of the landscape, literally.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yesterday, when I realized, part of what made this like a 6-hour project yesterday was when I realized there was no lumber sitting in this area that was blocking everything. I became obsessed with, first I used a snow shovel to like get up all, because there was dirt that had just like compacted onto the pavement in this area of the house. I snow shoveled up the major dirt, then I used a different shovel to get up the rest of it, then I used a push broom to like sweep it all out.
You were basically seeing this part of your deck for the first time.
Exactly. Oh, this part of the house. It's not even the deck, it's where stuff that was going to become the deck was sitting.
I see. Yeah.
And it had just been, and also, by the way, the tarps, it's right next to my bedroom. At least 2 times every night when I'm sleeping, the tarps would flap in the wind and wake me up.
Oh, that sort of sounds nice, though. Sometimes those sounds can be nice. Sometimes they can be annoying.
It was a little of both, actually.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was, I didn't hate it, but there's something about the fact that this area of the yard, I keep calling it the yard, it's paved. It's basically like there's a huge poured, I don't know, concrete thing around this side of the house that I'm looking at. That part of the house area had wood on it, and then a tarp on the wood, and then rocks on top of the tarp, so the tarp wouldn't blow away. But some of the tarp would get caught in the wind.
Yeah, and that just sounds like that gives you that sense of like temporariness that you don't like. You want everything,
which became permanent. It went from temporary to permanent
because it was there for so long. That's that feeling that you're describing of cleaning it all off and then sweeping it. That's addictive.
It was so satisfying that I brought out a little lawn chair and I sat in my yard in a lawn chair and looked at the part of the house that now did not have a tarp on it.
Yeah.
It felt very satisfying. But all that is to say, Walt has been working on this house for so long that it is somehow very important to me that the neighbors know that I have not just basically trapped my dad in some way into working on this house. I want them to know that he is also making a decent living doing this.
And you were starting to say, though, that he's made friends with these neighbors now? He's cutting it up?
And that's why I was like, did you tell him that I'm paying you? That was my first question. But he was like, oh, yeah, Bob came over and was complimenting me on all the work on the deck. Because the thing that my dad's been doing of late is on a side of the house that my neighbor Bob can see. He's like, Bob came over and we were chatting, and I was like, did you tell him that I'm paying you to do this?
You're a poor dad. Between yesterday, your mom's kind of like, well, at least
he's ugly.
At least my husband's as ugly as I am, or something along those lines. Those are not my words. I'm trying to paraphrase here. And then you're just kind of like you let the neighbors know that you are paid labor, right? Like this is the most important
Walt
thing.
Walt could not get a break, and yet his equanimity remains absolutely unbroken. Like he was, he didn't even much in the way that when my mom said, my husband's also ugly, and he just sipped his coffee without a response. I said, did you tell Bob I'm paying you? You're paid labor? You just work here? He just was like, oh, yeah, we talked about it.
I was
totally unfazed.
This is, sometimes I do slip into the thoughts about how I am like your dad. Now, keep in mind, I've met your dad many times. I love your dad, but it's not like we bro down. We're not. we don't spend tons of time together, but because of the show especially, I feel like I know him very well, and in the ways that you sort of like set up this sort of lifestyle dichotomy between the way you navigate your life and the way he navigates his life. And I definitely am more in the school of Walt when it comes to that stuff. And I was thinking about this. I was at the gym the other day, and this is sort of like a little bit of you where the story starts, which is my gym bag is super cute and super not functional for what I need it for. So when I was growing up, my dad went to a gym called Vic Tanny. I don't know if that was a regional thing or a national thing.
I've never heard those words.
But he had like
Vic Tanny. Was that like a first name and a last name?
I think, and I'm not even sure if I was over pronouncing it there. I don't even know that it was two words. I was just like kind of it does say Vic Tanny. Vic Tanny was an American bodybuilder, entrepreneur, and cultural advocate.
I knew when you said the word Vic, V-I-C, I knew this was a bodybuilder.
So my dad had Vic, and it's V-I-C, Vic Tanny gyms, I think. He went, but it was like a really old school, like 1960s or 70s era gym bag, like leather bag, relatively small though, almost like in the style
to get my hands on that bag.
Oh, I got to send a photo of my gym bag to you because Genevieve knew I was obsessed with that, and she found me one that I can't remember what the brand is, but it's so sweetly designed. It's so cool. It's literally vintage, so the handle is getting a little bit broken up around the leather, but I love this thing so much. But the thing is, it's tiny, and I have like big feet, so when I put my gym shoes in there, the gym shoes take up most of the bag. I have a few other things I need in there, and then often if the bag is full, I roll up a towel and I carry the towel on top of the bag because the towel doesn't even fit in the bag. But I love the design of the bag so much that I refuse to buy like a less coolly designed functional bag. You know?
I'm with you on this.
So that's where it's a little bit like you, but inside the bag, I have literally a Ziploc bag that is probably like 3 or 4 years old that is just so crunched up or whatever, and that's what I keep like my soap, my lock in, like my combination lock, and like my deodorant or something like that. And I pull this thing out of the bag, and it's so Walt. I've just gone from total Burbank, using a cute little bag that might not have the best function, to me pulling out a Ziploc bag instead of a what do you call it, a DOP kit? Instead of a real DOP kit, it's a plastic Ziploc bag that has just been opened and closed like 100 times, and that's the Walt side of me. You know what I mean? I was thinking like I should get a better bag for this. I was thinking about how you didn't want to buy an extension cord for your road kit because it was going to be too depressing if it wasn't designy. And I'm like, I use this bag all the time, and I just use this Ziploc bag, but it's functional in this way that I can jam it into the bottom of this tiny bag. If I had a proper bag in there, it would take up too much room. And so it's just like this bag contains the multitudes of the two Burbanks.
That's me and Walt in one bag situation.
That's right.
Can I see a picture of this?
Yeah, the bag.
Vic, what's his last name?
Vic Tanny. Now, my bag is not Vic Tanny branded.
I'm assuming Vic Tanny is no longer with us. But God, I want to see Vic Tanny.
Oh, you were actually looking for Vic Tanny, the fella, not the bag or the gym.
I assume that there's a Jack LaLanne-esque guy named Vic Tanny, who there are many pictures of him standing with a narrow waist and a large upper body. He probably goes about 5'7" if he's a minute.
Let me see here. It's saying all the photos I'm seeing of him, he's already an entrepreneur, so he's in a suit while a bunch of people are sort of like working out in a gym behind him and all the things that I'm seeing.
Is it Tanney?
Just Victanny, Vic Tanny.
Literally, I put VICT into the internet and I got Vic Tanny.
It knows. Everybody's looking up Vic Tanny after this episode.
You mean Victor Iannadardo? Born in Rochester, New York.
Ah, okay. Is that the middle name? Or
that is Vic Tanny.
That's his original name. I see.
Yes, he changed it at Ellis Island because it wasn't Italian enough.
Yeah, right.
We was hoping for some razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
That's right, man. Razzle dazzle.
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody razzle dazzle.
All right, let's thank some dazzling donors. These folks are donating a dazzling amount of dough, and it is how we are able to keep TBTL rolling. Thanks to folks like Summer Ash. Summer has been part of the TBTL universe, and I use that term advisedly, for many, many, many years. I believe Summer found out about Luke Burbank, and I am starting to talk about myself in the third person. That's a new thing I'm trying as well. Maybe back in the Bryant Park days, I believe that Summer was, in fact, the astronomy correspondent on the Bryant Park project.
That's my understanding too. Yeah, I had a conversation with Summer about that one time, about how she was. I can't remember the specific, and of course she'll be listening to this, so my apologies for not remembering the details. But called in to correct. Who was your newscaster at the time? It wasn't Allison, right?
It was Rachel Martin.
Okay, yeah, and I think she wrote in to correct something that was being sort of misreported, and I think it was in Rachel Martin's newscast, and then Summer sort of kind of became your guys' correspondent. So she's been part of the TBTL universe since before TBTL, I would say.
Exactly. She's like, she was there at the Big Bang, at the beginning of the Luke Burbank media project, when it was just sort of emptiness. This is the one thing, and Summer won't like this as a actual. Sorry, I'm pushing through it, Andrew.
You have been eating. You're still eating pickles.
I've been
know.
shotgunning Fresca and eating Nally's spicy pickles. This is not the recipe for doing a good podcast. But Summer won't like this because the only thing about I think of myself as a science-based person. But the one thing about science I don't understand is what was here before there was anything. In other words, when there was nothing, what was the nothing? And how did the nothing, like, the theory is that there was a big bang. There was nothing, and then suddenly everything exploded and the universe kind of flew outward. And we still see that because we can track the ways that things in our universe are moving away from, or things in our galaxy, I guess, are moving away from the sun. Mm-hmm. That's how we know that there was a big bang, because of the pace at which stuff is basically separating. Well, what was happening before that?
I Googled it, and I have an answer for you according to Search Labs AI Overview. The question of what existed before the Big Bang Theory is a show called Friends. No, sorry. I don't even know if that's the right network.
Strong lead-in.
I don't even know.
It wasn't. It probably wasn't. Because first of all,
that's
Friends
not
is NBC and The Big Bang is CBS.
Is
Andrew,
that CBS?
come on.
Oh, right. Of course it's CBS, because that's where young Sheldon is, right? The question of what existed before the Big Bang is a profound one, and the simple answer is we don't know for certain. So, Luke, you are amongst many, many great thinkers of our time.
And the problem is, and I'm not trying to RFK Jr. this, but like, the problem for me is if we don't know about that, then what are the other things we don't know about? And it doesn't mean that I don't believe in gravity or cell phones or vaccines, but it's just that one throws me, because it's like, we know a lot about this universe and we say that we know a lot about this universe, but then there's a major thing we don't know about, and that's the part that hangs me up.
Yeah. Hangs you up in what way, though? Like, in that you think there's...
It makes me wonder if there is. It's the reason that I'm an agnostic and not an atheist. Like, I don't think it's a god, but I just don't think we know what it is. Yeah, and that puts me in agnostic territory versus atheist territory.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I'm just not intellectually curious enough to get hung up on that. I just think that there's a hell of a lot of things I don't know about science, and so we don't know that one. It doesn't make
It just seems like the most major one that we don't know.
Yeah, and now this is not what you're saying, and I'm not, good Lord, if I slip into debating atheism, because, by the way, that's one thing I was just thinking about this. I think when I was working in the yard, and I don't know what I was listening to, or you know what, some church folks stopped by, I think, last weekend.
Oh, really?
Because there's a church in our neighborhood, and there's this whole, I'm really getting far afield here, but there's this whole kind of culture in North Aurora where I live, where obviously we live in an area where there's kind of a lot of crime and other, societal ills or whatever. And then there's this group that is very hardcore into making North Aurora kind of like a nicer place to live. But a lot of that comes from this group called Nora, which is based on this church that is nearby. And there's this Christian coffee shop. And it's kind of like they don't put Christian stuff front and foremost on a bunch of stuff, but like they have craft fairs and stuff. But like I know it's all by this group that is sort of this very Christian-run group that are kind of also lobbying and stuff. So I'm, given my own sort of opinion on things, I'm a little bit leery of them. But they seem like sweet enough people. They come by maybe once a year to remind us that they're there and ask us if we're interested in I don't know, religion or something. And so Genevieve said hello to them the other day, and I was just like sort of pondering that, and I was like, I don't believe in anything that would be considered religious at all, but I don't mind that other people do. Like I would never be somebody who tries to talk somebody out of their religion. If somebody tries to talk me into their religion, I would say, no, I dabbled in religion. I went to religious schools and everything, but not for me, and that's fine. But I would never want to get into an argument of telling somebody, but this is why your belief in whatever religion is bunk. Like it's none of my business, So I don't want to get into that. But I guess while you kind of bring up this idea of, well, maybe I believe in religion because we don't know what happened before the Big Bang, I always have a big leap between, well, if it could be some sort of power, like everything is power, electricity is power, but like the idea that it's something spiritual or something that I have to literally worship seems that's where I lose
that's
everything.
The thing, and the thing is, you said you were paraphrasing what I said, and you said believe in religion, and that's not even my point. I don't believe in religion because of it. I just think that there might be something bigger than us that we don't know about. We could be living inside of a droplet of sweat on the back of a giant thing that's playing basketball right now.
Ew.
Would that be the darkest timeline for you?
Yeah, so let's see. Does that make my bunker a hair follicle?
Yes. We're inside a droplet of sweat, inside a bunker, inside a torch lamp. Oh, that's what I think it's called. I think that used to be. Was that called a torch lamp?
Oh, that kind of lamp that we saw.
Yeah, that kind of lamp that David McIntyre had in his place.
I'm cutting out the first half of the show, so don't refer to the bunker anymore.
Okay, sorry. Let's focus on Summer Ash's message. Summer Ash, a person who is a scientist, has now somehow launched my religious revival, and I don't know if she loves it, but it's happening, Summer. Summer's in Mill Valley, California, and says, "Ahoy, hoy, friendos. It's your favorite space cadet. Last year at this time, I had just quit my job, and a lot had happened between then and now. A lot has happened between then and now. The long and short of it is that I moved to the Bay Area, and I moved my 83-year-old mom in with me. As an only child with a single mother, we only really have each other. Have you considered paying her to work on the house, Summer?
And then let everybody know.
And make sure Bob knows."
Yes.
She did an amazing job raising and supporting me, and now I want to support her as things begin to get harder for her physically, mentally, and emotionally. We are 8 months into this adventure, and I couldn't be happier with my decision. Aw, Summer, this is a really sweet, dazzling donor message, actually. I know she won't be around forever, so I'm cherishing every day we get to spend together. To top it all off, I've got her listening to TBTL from time to time.
Oh, my goodness.
Summer's mom, if you're hearing this, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Like, you did a great job raising Summer, and you raised a free thinker. A free thinker who wants to subject you to a thing that no one should be subjected to in their 80s, which is TBTL. Every now and then she'll ask, "What are the boys up to today?"
Aww.
I finally have someone who doesn't think I'm weird for referencing you both in daily conversation. Thanks for always being there. It means so much these days to have something you can rely on. Love you guys to the moon and back. I assume Summer offers that also advisedly. Summer, love you to the moon and back. And shout out to Summer's mom if you're listening.
Yeah.
We love you too, and thank you for tolerating this. Now even Summer's moms can tolerate this. Oh, dude, I heard something when I was in my many hours of yard work yesterday. I heard something. I was listening to a New Yorker piece, like, basically a book on tape, and they said cul-de-sac.
Oh, like the plural of
like
cul-de-sac.
Multiple cul-de-sacs? Cul-de-sac?
Oh, that's the proper way, huh? That is the way?
I guess. I spent a good 2 hours. This is what's fun about yard work. You have many hours to then just like litigate things in your mind.
Sure, yeah.
I almost grabbed the audio to play for you, and then I thought, like, these people are insane. And then I thought, oh no, this is a intentional joke by the writer. It was a New Yorker piece, I think, about the long-lasting effects of Doge.
Oh, okay.
And it was talking about a part of Virginia, and it said this and this and this and this, and Coles de Sac.
And wait, I'm a little bit lost. Are you thinking that the writer really did put that in there as a little winky kind of literary joke?
I think it probably is both grammatically correct, and I think that the writer put it in as a joke.
I see. Is the article a little bit? It has a little snark to it. Aside from
It's
this?
not. That's the
okay.
thing. There's no snark in it at all. It's basically like, what is the long-lasting effect of Elon Musk and Doge on the U.S. government? Turns out, Andrew, are you sitting down? Summer's mom, are you sitting down? Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. Because we've basically had a massive brain drain now. Like, it's not even that they fired a bunch of people who shouldn't have been fired, which also happened, but it's that a bunch of other people just left. And they were the people that were going to tell the next generation how to do the jobs in government, which, this is crazy, but the big takeaway from the Doge project is that the U.S. government is shockingly efficient. Like, the people that are there are doing a good job, and they work really hard, and they don't get paid enough. And there's way less fat in the U.S. government than the Elon Musks of the world thought there was. But also part of it, the problem is that now a bunch of people took the buyout, and those are the people that were supposed to train the next generation of people of how to do this thing. But in that piece, they mentioned Coles de Sac.
Well, that reminds me of something that I heard on a podcast while doing my yard work this weekend. And by the way, that was one thing that I was thinking about. I was listening to various things, including Dead Eyes. I'm finally listening to Dead Eyes, which you recommended years ago.
Yes.
That fella, Connor Radcliffe.
Yeah, Connor.
He's been
Connor
popping
Radcliffe.
up on all these other podcasts I listen to just on
It's
other
really
things.
good, right?
Yeah, and so I've kind of fallen for him as just sort of a movie kind of commentator on podcasts. And then I'm like, I should go back and listen to Dead Eyes. And it is really good. But anyway, I was thinking one of the things I love about projects like this is whatever podcast I'm listening to, there are going to be moments that I always tie back to this very specific memory I have of working on this project in my yard. Like I kind of do that. And one of the things that I heard that I don't think I'm ever going to forget, although I guess ask me again in a year, was in my Tim Kirkshin podcast, they were debating whether or not it's RBI or RBIs. Because technically
Runs batted in.
It shouldn't be RBIs. You wouldn't say like, oh yeah, Julio actually got 2 RBIs in yesterday's game.
Well, you would never say that because it would never happen.
For a split second,
bases loaded, 1 out.
For a split second, I thought I really said something wrong because I'm always so
very mad at
insecure
him
with
from
my.
last
I
night.
know. What a terrible example for me to use to get us off topic. Let's say Cal. Let's say Dominic Canzone got
Thank
2
you.
RBIs. You really don't have to say RBIs. You say RB. He got 2 RBI because it's runs batted in. But everybody says RBIs, and even Tim is just kind of like, it's RBIs. He got 2 RBIs, right?
He got 3 RBIs last night.
Yeah, 3 RBIs.
Yeah, that is one of those things that, what's another, champing at the bit versus chomping at the bit.
Right.
People say chomping at the bit. We all know what that means. It means chomping, or we intend chomping, but technically it's champing. And it's like, am I going to be the person, I mean, I kind of am, but am I going to be the person who's low-key correcting people, being, well, it's technically champing, or are we going to just go with chomping, which also kind of makes sense. Like, I'm chomping at the bit, or I batted in a run. He got 3 RBIs. He batted in 3 runs last night.
Yeah, and he got 3 RBI. I don't know if that's as much as a conversation stopper as champing, I think.
I do think it would be weird if you said he got 3 RBI.
Yeah.
Even though that is correct. I mean, that makes sense, but again, it's not a problem that we have to deal with the current state of the Mariners, because there will be no R's BI'd for the rest of the season. That was the other thing. I was getting mad at Rick Riz because my yard work was taking too long, which is totally unfair. I was just listening to the game, and I was being mad at how he was calling the game, but it was mostly because it was 9 p.m. and I was outside still, like on my hands and knees pulling weeds.
But you were just nitpicking. You were in a bad mood because of the game too, and
I was in a bad mood because of the game, and then I was also like, I can't believe I'm out here still yard working, and then somehow I was taking it out on Rick Riz.
And he's being too chipper for the state of the game.
Yes, he was
right?
too excited about the fact that Rafael Devers hit his first career home run against the Mariners.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like, nobody cared. Well, actually, that is
wait, hold on a second. Not his first career home run.
His first career, the first home run Rafael Devers ever hit as a Boston Red Sox and a Major League player
back
was against
in the day.
Seattle Mariners.
Yes, I do remember him talking about that. Yes, I'm sorry, I lost the.
And he was like, he was just being so glib about it as we were as Logan Gilbert was getting victimized for like an extra run that he shouldn't have. Like he gave up basically a home run and then like a triple and then a hit to I think Ben Williamson at second that was like basically an infield hit. And as this is all going on, I felt like Rick Rizzs was just like marveling at the fact that Rafael Devers, who's no longer a Boston Red Sox, got his first home run against the Mariners. And I was like, focus, Rick.
And am I wrong in remembering that the reason that came up is because what's his name, Roman Anthony, just got his first home run against the Mariners yesterday. So it was just kind of like, oh, this terrible thing that just happened.
Much Boston Red Sox lore for
me. Including something that just happened.
That a guy got a home run against us, which we don't like that happening. And Rick seemed unperturbed.
Yeah, that was early on. Wow, you were irritated early on. That was like the second inning.
I woke up irritated yesterday, okay?
With your mom hovering over you, wondering if you're still breathing. Yes.
And my dad, who I pay, working on the house. Thank you, Summer. We really appreciate you. Maestro?
On your mark.
On your mark.
Get set.
Get set.
Now ready.
Ready. Go.
Everybody rattle.
It's our friend Jojo Moran Douglas out there in Nakano, Tokyo, Japan. Sugoi, Jojo.
Hey, Jojo.
Pronounced Worcester.
Oh, that's perfect. That's helpful. Thank you.
I was in Boston on Friday, and somebody mentioned Worcester, and I almost went into a whole TBTL diatribe about Worcester and Worcester, and that people say pronounced Worcester, and I spared that person at the restaurant.
This would have just been some random person that you were...
Yeah, it was like somebody was... Well, we didn't get into my whole Friday because we pre-taped Friday's show, and then I was here on Monday, but my Friday dinner was a whole situation. There was somebody talking about Worcester at an adjacent table, and then there was also two women that were watching without headphones live coverage of Israel bombing Iran. And I wanted to say, what the actual? Are you really doing this in this restaurant on Boston Harbor? But I didn't because I felt like if they're watching this, they're either Iranian or they're from Israel. Somehow this is a big thing to them. But I just thought, like, I can't say, could you not? Like, if they're watching TikTok, I could have said, could you not? But it was like they're watching a war event. Like, maybe they have family in Iran, or maybe they have family in Israel or something. But someone was also talking about Worcester. That was also triggering for me.
I guess normalization. I know I've said this before. I'm not going to go into a long rant here, and I'm sure it'll come up again. But like the normalization of just like blasting your content without headphones is just Well,
what weird
it bothers
content,
me.
Right?
Yeah,
it's usually like somebody on the bus who's watching like a TikTok or something. They're watching something that it's clearly of low importance. In my opinion, like, in other words, it's just like somebody's just watching some bullshit thing. These people are watching a thing that's not bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like people's lives are on the line.
Yeah, of course.
But without headphones.
Yeah.
So I was like so mad at it, but then I was like, I can't tell them to shut it because they might have people that are living in an area that is being bombed, and then I would not tell them to not care about that. So it was weird to have somebody watching something annoyingly, but that it also has very high stakes.
I have a fantasy. I would never do this, and it's such a passive-aggressive thing. I would literally never do this, and nobody should do this. It's ugly behavior. But when somebody's doing that, remember I told you like I was a teriyaki joint like a couple of years ago. It was actually kind of funny because I was just in there. I was the only customer, with the exception of a table across the way, that had two young women who were just watching Martin together as loud as possible on their phone, which was, it was 2024, 2023 or something like that. And they're just watching
Martin bombing Iran.
Martin rerun, which is something charming about that, but also like the noise was just irritating, right? And I always have this fantasy of just like not saying anything cutting, just carrying around a whole bunch of cheap headphones that I can give away for free, and just like handing them to people who are annoying me. But that's an ugly look.
Without comment.
Just give them the headphones
on the airplane if you forgot your
exactly.
headphones.
Get a bunch of those. Obviously, I would never do that. That's not the side of me that
you know what? That's a thing that has probably stopped happening because we don't plug our headphones in anymore.
Oh, that's true. My new phone. Oh shoot.
Oh, you don't have a headphone out?
No, and I need it for one part of one podcast that I do. Just one thing every 2 weeks. I need to play audio from my phone through my board, and this is the third week in a row that I have forgotten to buy the little dongle, so I can't.
I was going to say, is it
play
dongleable?
It's not. I need to get a dongle for it, but that really irritates me. But I guess this is the modern
I
age.
bought a new computer for my TBTL stuff, and as I walked into the Apple store, my first question was, does it have a headphone out?
The computers still do?
The computer itself, the MacBook Air that I bought
does
have a headphone out. Yeah, because like that's the whole thing of playing the audio that I play on the show.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to mess with like a USB-C to a. I mean, I guess that would just be one dongle I would buy and then it would be fine. But it just somehow I was like, does it have a? Sir, I'm yelling as I'm walking into the Apple store in Tigard, Oregon. From I'm down the hall. I'm basically at the Auntie Anne's, and I'm yelling, "Does it have a headphone jack out?"
Hey, listen, I know we got to get to JoJo's message here, and so I'm gonna not
listen. I'm here to do TBTL and eat pickles, Andrew, so I got nowhere to be.
I'm not gonna say the thought that just popped up in my head, but if we're worried about time today.
I'm not worried about time.
Later on, I would like to talk to you about the comic strip Nancy and how I've gotten pretty into it and how I had a pretty huge revelation yesterday about Nancy that I don't know if everybody already knew or not. But let's get to JoJo first.
Do we want to, because I don't think we're getting to condiments today.
Yeah.
So do we want to put Nancy on as the top of the show tomorrow, or do we want to talk
we
about
could
it
do
after
that
JoJo?
too. Yeah, I don't know.
No, let's talk about it after JoJo.
Okay, after JoJo, whatever.
Okay.
But
all right, JoJo is in
important.
Nakano, Tokyo, Japan. And JoJo says, as so many others have said, I'm grateful for TBTL for being an oasis of calm and a safe harbor when needed, and my Nancy content.
Good. Perfect.
Nancy, that's not Kathy, though.
No, Nancy and Kathy
I was thinking
different.
of Kathy when you said Nancy.
Yeah.
What's Nancy look like?
Kathy also had a bit of a reboot, I think. A young person, like a younger person, started writing the comic
interviewed
strip.
her about it.
Oh, you did? She's really cool. I became a fan.
Yeah.
I became a pretty big
Jamie
fan.
Loftus.
That's
highly
Loftus?
recommend.
That's Loftus who took
That's
that over?
Loftus.
I never made the connection because I knew that she took it over before I knew the name Jamie Loftus.
Oh,
who,
no.
of course, wrote the Hot
I'm
Dog
sorry.
book.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Loftus wrote a book about Kathy.
Okay.
Was not illustrating Kathy.
Oh, okay. But you know that somebody took over the Kathy comic strip about 5-10 years ago, and it was suddenly getting like social media retweet stuff because it was kind of modern. Like Kathy had a cell phone, or I think I got the right comic strip. Nancy is something totally different. We'll talk about that in a little bit, though. We'll just keep teasing that.
I'm wondered if I know Nancy. You think have I seen
Does anybody
Nancy?
really know Nancy?
Can anyone really? Can JoJo Moran Douglas and Nakano, Tokyo, Japan really know Nancy? As so many others have said, I'm grateful for TBTL for being an oasis of calm and a safe harbor when needed. Not to mention being a source of unexpected chipmunk mariners and other talk to distract me from everyday life. And also getting a slab-jacking bracelet last year that I kept by my desk brings repeated joy. You're welcome, JoJo. Or let's be honest, probably a TBTL listener made that with love. Also, let's see. It's truly a joy. Thank you. Last year, I invited people to check out some of my electronic noises on Instagram, and I'm delighted and honored to have met other synth tens like Stephen S., and even had Melisande use some of my noises in her own art. What the heck?
Oh, nice.
What the helly? These listeners are now, they're learning. They're collaborating now. They're taking, like, Melisande is taking JoJo's synth noises and putting it into Melisande's art. This is amazing. While I don't have anything for immediate release, if anyone would like to hear my bleepy and or atmospheric... dude, there's almost nothing I love more than atmospheric noises. Do you know that I've been just power using Brian Eno's film score music? In other words, songs that Brian Eno wrote for movies. I'm just walking around all day listening to it right now. It is so atmospheric and it is so good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
So I'm going to add JoJo to the list. If anybody wants to hear my atmospheric noises that I'm making, I'm on the Ascendant social media platform, Bluesky. I'm at J Moran, and that's JMORAN. So at J Moran on Bluesky. Thanks again. Is this where I say power out? It is where you say power out, JoJo.
Nice.
Jojo, thanks for being such an awesome friend of the show for all of these years. I don't know if Jojo was our original Japan correspondent, but he's one of the original Japan 10s, and has been very important in this world for many years. So thanks, Jojo.
Yes.
We really appreciate you.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
I think 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 44 seconds is the right time to bring you the top stories. So here we go. Okay, Nancy.
Okay, forget everything I said
strip.
about Kathy before. I was completely wrong. I want to just clean something up. We need to start with a clean slate here. So,
Sure.
Kathy...
In 3, 2, and...
I said before that a young person back in like 2018 or something like that, or younger like than the comic strip itself, which is obviously like 100 years old or something like that, started rewriting Kathy. That is not right. That is also Nancy. There was somebody named Olivia James, which I believe was a nom de plume, kind of rebooted Nancy in a more modern era. I can't explain to you who Nancy is, but can you look up Nancy and look at the photo? I think the comic strip started as a different comic strip that was focused on a flapper, which was her aunt in like the 1930s or 40s or something like that.
I never knew this character. I'm looking at it was named Nancy. I would have said this was Little Lulu.
Oh, I don't know who Little Lulu is, but it sounds like something your mom would be into.
Are you kidding me? It's the exact way that I found out about Little Lulu. There was a Little Lulu song that went, and I'm going to do this. Though the clock's at 7:30, it's really after 10. Little Lulu. Sorry, now I'm trying to remember the song. There was a Little Lulu song, and it was a Little Lulu, I love you, Lou, just the same, Little Lulu, I love you, Lou, just the same.
I don't think I know that, but I am going to...
So look up Little Lulu and tell me this is not Nancy coded.
Here, how about this?
Thank you.
Little Lulu with freckles on your chin, always in and out of trouble, but
mostly always in.
Using daddy's necktie for the tail of your kite. Using mommy's lipstick for the letters you write. So the clock says 7:30. It's really after 10. Looks like Lulu's been repairing it again.
I love it. That part doesn't hold up well.
Good. Oh, no.
It rhymes with Lulu. The same Little Lulu. I love you, Lou, just the same. I'm trying to sing that ahead of the beat.
Was not super great.
Was I still behind the?
I don't know what was happening there. It was all over the place. So this is not Little Lulu. This is definitely
Nancy.
not Kathy, by the way. I was totally wrong about somebody rebooting Kathy. That was wrong. That was also Nancy. And Nancy is a little girl with like kind of a big head of curly hair with, like you said, a bow in it. And it was originally, her character was originally like kind of an extra character in a comic strip called Fritzy Ritzy. Back in 1922, and Fritzy Ritzy, I believe, is Nancy's aunt, and she was like a showgirl or something. She was like Fritzy Ritzy was like a real foxy woman, and that there was a comic strip about her, but the real stars ended up being Nancy and her friend Sluggo, and so Nancy ends up getting a comic strip spin-off, which obviously, survives much, much, much longer than Fritzy Ritzy, and Nancy is still around today, as I mentioned, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, sort of kind of rebooted with a more sort of modern, like kind of a vibe to the whole thing. But I am now following old school Nancy comics on Bluesky. And you can follow it too. Just look for Nancy Comics by Ernie Bushmiller. And Luke, am unironically loving these Nancy comics, and they all show up with a year. So like there's one here that was published in 1954, and they were publishing ones from the 1940s, it looks like, earlier this week. And some of them are super, super corny. They're all super corny in a certain way, but honestly, I'm legitimately enjoying it. I think there are some great jokes in this original Nancy comic strip, and of course it features her friend Sluggo, who's like an undereducated kid her age who talks like, let me read some dialogue. Hey Nancy, I'm coming along great with me education. I'm learning new words every day. And then it turns out the new words he's learning is he's going to the optometrist and trying to learn the letters that just test your eyes on the eye chart. And he thinks that they're words because Sluggo is not very smart. Anyway, here's my big revelation, which I never knew. And this is not going to be shocking to you because you didn't know who these people were 5 minutes ago. But apparently, according to a cartoon I read late last night, Sluggo and Nancy are a bit of an item. I thought they were totally platonic friends. But there is a cartoon where Sluggo is graffito tagging a wall. He was born on the wrong side of the tracks, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
He's with another little girl, and he's graffito tagging a wall, and it says Sluggo loves, and then suddenly from off screen, we see that Nancy has shot an arrow with her name on it and shot the arrow right into the wall, so it looks like Sluggo loves Nancy. Nancy is jealous here that Sluggo was going out with another little girl, but I had no idea that Nancy and Sluggo were into each other at all. I thought they were just good platonic friends, and I am a little bit shocked.
Plot development.
Yes, from 1937.
Do you know also that the character of Gilly, which was basically a thing that Kristen Wiig did on SNL, was based on Nancy? This is a real thing.
No, I don't know this. So you do know
Nancy. She has a
Nancy.
character called Gilly.
Okay.
That was one of her big characters, and she looks exactly like Nancy. She has that kind of like hair and the bow in the hair.
I'm looking at it now, yeah.
And she's basically just like, it turns out, a sociopath.
Okay, yeah. Well,
like she's just doing insane things, and then she's like, sorry. She's basically like what if the Gilly character were actually real in life, and what would the implications be for the people in her orbit?
Yes, and because, I mean, that's basically, Nancy is a sociopath. Like, she absolutely is. The things she does, I mean, the stuff that her friends put up with is, Sluggo especially, is absolutely out of this world. Nancy is almost unredeemable, except the little scamp is lovable because she really, I mean, she gets what she wants. She's almost a little bit like proto Ramona Quimby, a little bit, with a little bit more of a nastier streak, I would say.
So, and these Nancys that you're reading they're not updated for 2025. These are just like, you're reading old school Nancys and you're heavily invested in the plot.
I am, I mean, not the plot, because they're not like published in order on this Blue Sky
plot of
account.
her life.
Just like the plot of her life. They're like, I honestly think they're legitimately good. And I'm not somebody who's been
I'm going to start following this on
I
Blue
really think you should. It's Nancy Comics by Ernie Bushmiller. I know that I feel us struggling for a power out here. I'm the one who got us into this mess, and I apologize. I wasn't sure how well versed you were in the world of Nancy, and then I did a terrible job of setting it up by confusing it with Kathy. But I highly recommend people getting into. You have a lot of backlogs. When you finish the backlog of TBTL,
exactly,
get thee into some Nancy.
It's the TBTL of comics, in that there are thousands and thousands of episodes, most of them boring.
Do not declare bankruptcy on Nancy, is what I'm saying.
Do you care that I'm getting emails? This might not be a power out. This might be extending things. I'm getting emails from the Seattle Seahawks offering a chance for us, and by us I mean anyone with an email account, to come see training camp. How are you feeling about the Seahawks this year?
You know, Luke, it's really hard for me to get interested in football during baseball season, and I think maybe it just has to do, like, I know that I'm quite sure that I'm on the outs here, because if I turn on the local sports radio stations, there's, even during baseball season, there's probably a better chance that they're talking about developments in the football team. Yeah, like off season, just like speculation, and then, you know, of course, we're past the draft now and everything. Everybody gets really into it, and unfortunately, I'm just a little bit like, I'm like Hearthstone. I didn't like building the decks. I just liked playing the games, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of that way as well. I actually don't really care that much. But I do. I was, yesterday during my thousands of hours of yard work, I did have this thought, which was, I'm excited for football season. I'm excited for there to be an early fall football game where the Seahawks do a good thing, and then I go out and I stand on the deck and I revel in it. This is how my crazy brain works. When I'm doing something I don't want to do, that's not true. I want to do the yard work, but I guess when doing something that's kind of a hassle, I think, yeah, but isn't it going to be nice? Like One of the projects I was doing was organizing the area underneath my deck, which is like, you want to talk about a low reward situation? It's like I was stacking wood and I was weed whacking like overgrown grass that no one can ever see because it's underneath the deck.
Mm-hmm.
But then it had me thinking about the deck, and then it had me thinking about a moment where the Seahawks do a good, and then I walk outside of my house and I stand on the deck and I feel happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about the Seahawks a little bit of late, but
well, I'm almost more like how you usually are in this, I think, when it comes to kind of weather and seasons. Like, I love the fall. And if I had to choose a favorite season, it's probably the fall. I don't sort of dread the end of summer. I don't start to, like, count it down or whatever. In fact, like, the other day it was really hot. I even thought, like, it's too hot. When will this hot weather pass? Which is not usually how you're supposed to approach summers in Seattle, where it's really beautiful here. You're supposed to enjoy the weather as much as you can because it is going to get rainy again in the fall. I'm not somebody who's scared of that weather transition, but, like, I am feeling summer so much these past couple of weeks, maybe because I feel like I've been like trying to get this yard work stuff done and the sunny weather hasn't lined up perfectly, but then this last couple of weeks it has, and so I'm like really, really into it. And so the idea of thinking about football season right now actually gives me a little bit of the bad feeling. Like, I have too much to do. We can't be getting to I do not want to see the preseason games. I was looking at something like preseason games are going to be starting in August or something like that. I'm like, I get out of here with that shit. Like, I'm just gearing up for summer.
I like this for you, though. I like that I know you're not buying into the overall, the whole kind of like summer is too short in the Northwest and the rain comes too quickly and we hate the weather, et cetera. But I like that you're buying into it a little bit because I'm with you. There is a certain melancholy that comes with, like, it's mini camp. It's like, it's mini camp.
Mini camp?
We're not even like done with the summer yet. What are you doing trying to make this football happen?
This is the time of year where we get angry at baseball teams, not when we get angry at football teams.
Dude, I mentally, again, you all were so lucky on the criminals chain that I didn't have my phone. Well, I had it in my back pocket, but I didn't have easy access to it because I was wearing gloves.
Oh,
because
yeah.
I wrote and deleted a million toxic texts in my brain listening to that game yesterday while I was doing yard work.
Yep, I believe it. Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, they just they just keep on getting runners in scoring position and then just leaving them there. Like, with runners in scoring position with no outs, and then they just squander
bases
3
loaded,
outs in a
no
row.
outs, and the heart of the lineup coming up. You have J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, and Cal Raleigh. By the way, Cal Raleigh can do no wrong in my mind, but like, he did some wrong in that. You have we only have so many good hitters, and there's not a lot of them. But when you have the 3 ones that are semi-competent coming up, and none of them can bring a run in, it's just crushing.
Yeah, it really is. So that is why we have to.
You're right, though.
We have to remain hateful towards the Mariners right
That's
now.
right. We need to remember our seasons. This is the season that I'm mad at. I don't even know who owns the Mariners. Is it Stanton? Is it somebody named Stanton?
It's an ownership group where there's some DNA left over, I think, from the Nintendo years, but it's not quite that. But Stanton is sort of the face of the ownership group, for better or for worse, because and so I will often refer to Stanton, but it is a group. In fact, I was getting into a conversation with a fella at the sports bar in Greenwood called Bleachers. I don't know if you ever go to... Oh, yeah, I've been to Bleachers with you before. I like that's a good place to watch a game, by the way. Vives and I went there after dinner a couple of weeks ago and just happened to sit down next to a guy at the bar who must be the guy who listens to Seattle sports radio second only to me. We got into such a conversation about the quirks and ticks of all kinds of radio hosts.
How fun is that?
Now he's more dialed into the KJR side as well, which is a big blank spot for me. But but anyway, he was a very well-informed Mariners fan, I think a longtime Mariners fan, and he was talking about how it's probably, you could almost trace, while Stanton takes too much heat because it's not all Stanton, you could almost blame the fact that it is an ownership group where not one person or one family sort of has the reputation on the line, because everybody's just kind of kicking it back and forth and nobody wants their bottom line hurt and nobody has that passion, as opposed to, you think about who is it? It was the Busses who owned the Lakers, right?
Yeah, Jerry
and,
Buss.
and just like all those like legacy families, like somebody's name is tied to it,
right?
You don't
and they
have
might
them.
catch feelings.
Yeah,
like that's what you need. You need a Jerry Jones. Honestly, not that it's been great for the Dallas Cowboys of late, but you need somebody, one person who, or even who's the guy who just died? The Colts owner, Jim Irsay.
Oh yeah, your guy.
You need somebody who basically like it's their ego on the line, so then they will make emotional decisions.
Yeah.
In a good way. You don't need a corporation that understands that if you win 51% of your games, it nets out to X number of butts in seats, and therefore you don't have to try to win more than 51% of your games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or you're also thinking of Jerry. That was Jerry, right? Talk about the 54% of games. He was like,
no, that was something I saw.
Oh, this is a different
dude.
stat.
This is so weird. Rob Lowe of NFL Fandom fame, right?
Love it. He loves
Lowe.
the Shield. Root for the Shield. Yeah.
He's a big fan of the Shield. He was on some podcast where he was asking this again. The internet has completely figured me out. He was on, I think, a baseball podcast where he was asking the host. He was like, "What is with the Mariners?"
Really?
He was like, "What is with the Mariners just kind of being middling?" And I think it might have been, maybe it was a Mariners podcast or something, or a Seattle podcast, because the hosts were like, dude, this is a real thing that happened. The hosts were like, yeah, our ownership figured out that we only need to win. They said they were on the record as saying we only need to win 51% or whatever it was, 50% of games or some number that's very uninspiring. They were telling that to Rob Lowe.
Wait a second, though. I do think, and I could be wrong, and I have the clip here. We'll play it in a second. But there's a very famous quote from our GM, Jerry Dipoto, who said, we have to win 54% of games in order to be competitive. And he was saying that, he said that in the press conference, I think the day after we lost out to get into the playoffs again. This is like 2 years ago, I think. And it's an incredibly, I mean, there are literally Mariners fans who have jerseys that say 54% on them.
Oh,
as
okay.
an
So I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, because he's like, what fans don't understand is we're actually doing them a favor. Like, he used all the wrong words. He's like, we're doing them a favor because the stats show that if you win 54% of games, then you will be like, over the certain amount of years, you will eventually make it to a World Series or whatever.
How did we get the GM who's on the spectrum who's actually not good at GMing?
It is banana. Take a listen.
That is that's such a bad read of the room.
It's just like, yeah, and the thing is, he might not be wrong. I
right,
just think
exactly.
that he doesn't
but,
know
like,
how to. He doesn't know
put
how
it
to,
that way.
But this is what you're talking about here. This is strange. So this is Rob Lowe on some.
Yeah.
I don't. Who is he talking to here?
I don't know.
Let's take a listen. Oh no. Instagram won't play.
Oh,
Luke. Or nor. Oh, wait, here we go.
Runners toil in such obscurity.
By design.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, their GM came out and said we want to win 54% of games.
That's their goal. Like when the Dodgers clubhouse first heard the Mariners say our goal is to win 54% of their games. Like how do you think that went over?
The Dodgers were probably like, great, and more teams like that. That helps us out.
Can you imagine? But yeah, and they're always kind of there at the end of the year. Like
they're there and they're not.
How do the Seattle Mariners toil?
It's just it's just sort of that's the beginning of it again.
But by the way, the fact that Rob Lowe is using up any of his
time thinking about the
Mariners being kind of there.
I'm just trying to figure. Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that.
He was on John Boy Media podcast, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, that's a. I think that guy that's an Ascendant. That's also an Ascendant podcast. John Boy Media.
Oh, John Boy's been a big thing for a while. John Boy's the guy who made that documentary about the Mariners during the the
that's
pandemic.
John Boy's.
Oh, no, you're right. John Boy and John Boy's. I get those two confused all the time. My apologies.
But isn't it John Boy? J-O-M?
Yes, John Boy is different. Which is the one, who's the person who does all of the
data-driven Mariners thing?
That's
John Boy's.
But John Boy is the one that does the lip reading. Have you watched it? And this does go back a ways. They'll show a fight between a player and an ump or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then he'll go in and he kind of does lip reading to like kind of tell the story of how this bench clearing brawl started or whatever.
By the way, I know that we need to get out of here, but I've still got a lot of pickles. I don't know if you can see on the camera. How do you feel about robot umps? Are you ready for them?
You know, Luke, I think I am. Like when I'm angry at the umps, I'm just like, get out of here with this. Like, get these robots in here now. Although I do think I'm going to see it in my lifetime, and I'm going to wonder if I'm going to be on the wrong side of history of that. Because like there is an argument to be said that like the strike zone is a zone. It's an area. It's not as precise as that little box that we see on TV.
Right.
And treating it like a goal line in football, I think, is a bit of a mistake. On the other hand, if you can use something,
that I've never thought about this way until this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm being honest here. Like, that's a really good point. Like, I think of it as that box, and I get very mad when something defies that box and it goes against the Mariners. I'm not mad when it goes against the other team.
Yeah, right.
But
funny.
But you're right. It is the essential. I'm really having this thought for the first time in my life as we're talking about it. Like, the idea is it's supposed to be a pitch that the hitter can hit. The reason it's a strike is because it was hittable. It's not in the dirt. It's not way over their head. It is a pitch that you could hit and you didn't hit it, and that's why we're calling it a strike. And that probably has a little bit to do with the size of the player, where the player is standing. Like, there's a bunch of sort of other factors that the umpire, and I'm no Angel Hernandez apologist, but there are a bunch of other things that I guess that the umpire is sort of taking into account that the robot will not take into account.
Yes, I do like the idea of being able to challenge and then rely on the, robots or computer system to like confirm or deny. Like, I think that's a good medium step in there. Like, you keep and that's what they were doing during spring training, and I think that's what they're doing during a lot of minor league games, I think, depending on the technology at various parks. Not all minor league parks are set up for that. But I kind of do like that as an in-between, because obviously sometimes the umps are just like way, way wrong. I mean, way wrong. And you should be able to challenge that and say, come on, man. That's not how, and just like, no, I said it, therefore, I can't, no takesies backies, I think is the baseball term for that. So I like the idea of challenging it and having some sort of computer system behind it, although that could become very tedious. I mean, you got to like somehow, put limitations on how many challenges, which I do believe they have. So I think that's fine, but you got to be able to eliminate just these terrible, terrible calls that are so far outside the zone. But it's like, well, if you question my authority, you're going to get booted from the game. I hate that. I hate their power.
Did you see the guy that got tossed for tapping his head?
No, I don't think so.
So there was a player there was a bad strike call, or there was a bad call on a ball and strike, and the player tapped their helmet, which I think in the preseason means we're going to challenge.
Oh,
like that's the way that you know how like in like what is it, like the earphone thing? Or something?
The manager will do earphones if he wants a review.
And so I guess tapping your helmet in the minors or something, or not in the minors or the preseason or some other version of baseball, is how you indicate that you want to challenge it. And this guy got a terrible call, this batter, and then he was kind of arguing with the ump, and then he was getting back in his batting stance, and he kind of tapped his helmet, and the umpire just tossed him.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, they scared.
Yeah, so he tapped the helmet. Like, he didn't do it in... First, I thought you were going to say...
Nobody even knew what he was doing. None of us, the viewers, understood what shade he was throwing at the umpire.
That's interesting. At first, I thought you meant he just did it out of instinct because he had done it so many times during the spring training.
That could also be the case.
But it sounds like he already got into a fight with the ump, and then
he'd already kind of groused with the ump, and he was kind of shading the ump, but in a way that was hyper specific.
Yeah, very specific.
It was not to your point about the fact that like the ego of these umpires is so fragile,
so gross. Tapped your helmet, and then you're getting booted. Like that's
because like 8 people in America understood that you were saying like let's review this. And you tossed him over that. Like they're just. I mean, next to police, their egos are so freaking fragile. What do you think is the pipeline between the police to umpire pipeline of the most fragile individuals who've ever done a job?
I was going to think that. I was like, yeah, that sounds like some major cop energy right there. Because I said so. That's the energy.
Why,
it's because I
said so. That's how we know
so.
It happened. Wait, you tapped your head? You embarrassed me right now in this traffic stop?
Anyway, the point of all of this
What a place to land the show.
I
Luke.
believe Nancy and Sluggo, there are some feelings between them that I never realized before. And I'm
going to start following it on
Bluesky
today, and then tomorrow it's going to be our top story. Will they or won't they?
Will they or won't they
or
finally?
Did they?
Or
don't they?
They're children.
Yes. Oh, they are. Sorry. I think that Kristen Wiig's character, Gilly, her catchline was, sorry.
Yeah.
She would just like do some horrible things. She'd go, sorry.
Now that makes sense to me. I don't know if I saw that sketch, but it's basically saying, like, what if a psychopath like this little girl, I almost said Kathy, Nancy, really was just like navigating life in this way and then expecting to get off the hook?
Sorry.
All right. Good
Okay,
job.
thanks everybody. And sorry for today's TBTL. That's on me. We are going to be back here tomorrow with more pickles and more imaginary radio for all of you. So please, if you can, join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Tuesday. Take care of yourselves. Go Mariners. And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.